YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with our updated NFL power rankings heading into week 5. We got a new number 1. We got a new number 32. For the most part, teams kind of starting to settle down in their range of these power rankings, kind of getting the identities of all of these teams. Still early in the season, still some changes, but excited to go over these. We do these every Tuesday afternoon, so join us. Weekly picks every Tuesday night. We got score predictions every Wednesday afternoon. We're adding our rookie power rankings back later this week and doing them every week. Can't wait for that. Always adding more. Always have a ton of NFL content here, so join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. A bunch of links in the description comments if you're looking for anything there. Follow us on Twitter, live NFL updates, fan voted picks, players of the week picks on there. So you guys get a say in a lot of things there. So check out that Twitter link in the comments. And then here is the Twitter, actually. And then you guys are voting for all the games for week 5 already. Those will be used in our weekly picks videos. Some close ones. And there's some really good games this week, so that I'm very excited about. Players of the week, defense. We're on semifinal polls and offense as well. We actually got 3 because there was just such a dominant offensive performances this year. So check it out. Let's go on to the power rankings. Coming in at 32. We got a new number 32. They were there for most of the season so far. It's still very early, but the Jaguars in their messy situation with their head coach is down at 32. They actually played very well. There's still some promise. I kind of went over it in the minus the distractions, but I kind of went over it in the Thursday recap. They look good in the first half. They're starting to kind of get their identity on offense. More runs to James Robinson, who's very talented. More read options, having Trevor Lawrence keep the ball, who's very talented. We see glimpses of Trevor Lawrence and why he was the first overall pick. So things we're kind of heading in the right direction. We'll see how the distractions change things here, but if they change anything. But still another winnable game. They blew that comeback. Still a little worried about that defense. And they're at 32. But again, there actually is some hope there. 31's the Lions. Yeah, sloppy game against the Bears. They moved the ball better than the points will show that they put up, but they could not execute in the red zone. Just too many mistakes. And does the defense have enough there? I know their offense sure didn't help them with the mistakes in the red zone, but they're coming in at 31. Those are the only 2 teams that have yet to get a win. Don't think they'll go winless this year. They could get wins here, maybe this week, maybe sometime soon, but those 2 teams are at the bottom right now. 30, the Texans are down 2 spots. If they didn't have the injuries, mainly Tyrod Taylor, I'm not sure this would be happening. I think they'd be a little better in this, at least a little better. But this is how it is. Everyone has injuries. They've had some bad ones, and especially at the quarterback position when they were actually looking better than expected. So, a 40-0 loss, a bad one, I know, against a good team, that'll hurt you a bit. So they're on their way down in the range of those teams without a win there. Next, we got the Jets moving up 3 spots. They got a win against the Titans. That's a big-time win, overtime win. Wilson started to step it up a little bit. Defense looks good. Defense can win them some games. They get some good pressure, especially on 3rd down, 4th down, crucial downs there, playing better than expected. So they might be able to sneak off, some wins based on their defense. Offensive line played a little better. They still got to show us some more. But the good thing is, in my power rankings, you win, you move up. So we're willing to change here. If they continue to win, they'll continue to move up. They're up 3 spots for now after that much needed win. And they were actually at the bottom before that. So that's big time there. 28, the Falcons go down 3 spots. They put up a pretty good offensive performance, but how you choke that game away, not ideal. Mainly faulted to their defense, of course, but the offense kind of shut down. While they were going the whole game, they kind of shut down when they had a shot to put the game away. Just the same old Falcons, new coaching staff that continue to blow games away. They only have 1 win. It was a very tight one against the Giants team. Only has 1 win now, so they're down 3 spots. And I know people, here's the Giants to move up 2 spots. They beat the Saints. I know every year people sometimes have a problem with they'll go, well, the Falcons and the Giants, the Falcons beat the Giants. How are they below them? We're not focusing on 2 teams. It's 32 teams here, and they played more than just that one game at the same time. So it's a collection of, are they currently winning? Are they losing? How are they playing on the field? How have they looked throughout their all the games they've played? What's their resume looking like? So you have to factor in all of that. Do not don't focus on one or two teams here. It's not head-to-head. Somewhere in there matters a little bit, but a lot plays a part in my ranking system here. So the Giants are fresh off a pretty good win against the Saints. A comeback victory, a whole lot of offense. The defense clutched up at the end. You almost want to move them up more, but, first win. Let's see if they can stay consistent, and they'll continue to make their way up. But that's a tough team. They'll put up a fight with pretty much anybody. We saw that, even though they only have one win. We saw that. So they're up 2 spots, and yes, they moved ahead of a team they lost to just a week ago. It's looking like what they put out there has been better overall than just that one game. 26, the Dolphins down 6 spots, 3-game losing streak. Yes, they have an injury at the quarterback position. We talked about the Texans, same thing. A lot of teams have injuries. It is what it is right now. I believe they'll be better when they're healthy, but they'll have to go out there and show that. Just looked, winnable game against the Colts. A lot of people were picking them. I felt like the Colts were going to win, but a lot of people expected the Dolphins to win that game, and it was a bad game. I don't even think the score showed how rough it was. It felt like they lost by more than that. So they're not playing good football. They're relying on their defense to create turnovers, which it can, but they're relying on that, and that's not a good idea. Or that's not a good look, I should say. Offensively, it's just not much going. They have the receivers, but there's just not much going other than that. So they're down 6 spots. They got to get it together. They got to get healthy. 25, the Eagles get down 1 spot. They put up a lot of scoring against the Chiefs, which teams should when you play the Chiefs defense. But it wasn't enough. I could even kind of nitpick the offense in that game. I talked about it in the recap. There was some missed opportunities, some missed, especially when you play the Chiefs. Weak defense, high-powered offense. You can't miss those opportunities. But overall, the defense let them down. They are on a losing streak. They look pretty promising after week 1, but teams will do that to us. 99% of the time, every team's kind of lying to us about week 1. So that kind of seems to be the case with a lot of these teams here. 24 Steelers down 2, a losing streak as well. Offense continues to disappoint. They were somewhat in that Packers game. Never really felt like they were going to come back or anything, but they were somewhat kind of sticking in there. But man, they're relying on their defense to be just elite. When I say elite, I mean elite. They're relying on that, which it can be at any given time, but the defense doesn't really look like the Steelers' defense. That's probably because where the era of the NFL is heading, and they just don't have the offense right now. It's a team that I think I said it before. I don't believe in them a whole bunch at the moment, but it's a team that I can see them kind of figuring out at some point. Maybe go on a little bit of a winning streak at some point. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a team that probably can. They're not going to completely dig themselves out of this hole, but I could see it maybe partially. But that would be assumptions. They're down 2 spots, down to 24. It's not looking good for Pittsburgh. Quarterback play, Big Ben hasn't been good there. 23, Colts up 4 spots. Much needed win against the Dolphins. Still, overall their resume hasn't looked too great. They have played some tough teams, but a much needed win. Wentz played better. Running game looked better. Defense still playing very well. They're going to be up 4 spots because of that, but that's one. They got to keep going to get back to where we thought they could be here. And I know they've been beat up quite a bit, but it's a good win while being beat up. But they're going to be up 4 spots. That's 1 down for them. Big game Monday night against the Ravens. Speaking of 4 spots, we're going the other way. 4 spots down, the Vikings. Vikings got 1 win right now. I know a lot of us expected, because they have more talent, they should be better. So that kind of makes them extra disappointing here. It seems like the offense defense can't get on the same page. It's kind of been mainly offense only this year until this last game against the Browns. So pretty disappointing performance from their offense. They're going to be down 4 spots. Only 1 win from them this year. 21 Patriots to stay put. It's unfortunate because they only got 1 win. So it's obviously not good. They put up a good fight with some teams. They put up a good fight with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they're kind of sticking in there in our heads, kind of thinking this might be a pretty decent 1-3 team. That's not a lot of praise there, but you'll take it. So they'll stay put at 21 here. Bears up 6 spots. And people may say, Bears beat the Lions. Lions are one of 2 teams that don't have a win. You're going to put them up 6 spots because they beat the Lions? Not necessarily. It helped that they won. It helped that these teams below them all pretty much lost, have less wins than them. Also, Bears, they played a pretty good game. That definitely helps being the Lions. I know it's just the Lions, but that Bengals win, it kind of holds a little more value. So you look at the resume a little bit there. So they'll move up 6 spots, but it's not just because they beat the Lions. It's because what's going on around them as well. So that's something to keep in mind for all of these. You can't really focus, like I said, you can't really focus on head-to-head matchups. you can't focus on one team or two teams, or look at what's going around them. Always try to mention that. Washington up 4 spots. It's number 19. They're still a little sloppy. Defense did not play well at all against the Falcons, which you expect them to. I guess they clutched up at the right time, but they got to play a lot better. Still, it feels like a kind of a back and forth team throughout the year. They, still got to put it together, but they won. Much needed win. They're up 4 spots, number 19. But this week, and I like how this kind of happens quite a bit because the Saints and the Washington football team, 18 versus 19, play each other this week, and the Saints are down 3 spots. Kind of like Washington, too. It's kind of like every other, back and forth. What's this team's identity? Can they go on a streak? Same thing of the Saints. They're different every week you watch them. They blew a game here to the Giants. That's a tough one. Losing to a team that doesn't have a win, choking a lead, it's going to hurt you a bit. Think a game like that, you would move down more than 3 spots. It's tough to move them down below some of these teams below them. As the season gets on, there's not as crazy as movement. Because you do feel like what they've done, the Saints are still better than these teams below them. So that's why, even though maybe it kind of felt like deserving for that type of loss, you can't really move them down a whole lot here because what's going on around them. But big game, must win for both those teams, Saints and Washington football team. Titans down 6 spots. Another one, 6 spots is a lot moving down, especially in week 5 here. But they blow a game to the Jets. You can't lose to the Jets. So they do move down a lot, but it's a team that, kind of like the Saints, for that type of loss, I just realized both the New York teams won in the same week. What's happening here? But for that type of loss, moving them down a little more, it's very tough to move them down below some of the teams below, any of the teams below them, just based on what they're playing. So how they're playing. But that's a tough one for the Titans, and I said this in the recap, they didn't have A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. Would they have won with those guys? I think so. But I still worry about the Titans because it's different. The offensive line isn't protecting well. Ryan Tannehill's not used to that pressure. He's not playing good under pressure. Not thrilled with the play calling. So is there something they can rely on? Derrick Henry, but can Derrick Henry go out there and win every single game? Not in this era. He's very good, elite player, but not in this era. So you start to worry about the Titans a little bit. I think they'll be better when it's all said and done than compared to 17. But that's an assumption, and this is where they stick for now. 16, 49ers down 2 spots. The tough loss to the Seahawks, which is an odd game because they came out and scored right away. You thought they would kind of maybe not have any problems, but get a comfortable win. But and then Garoppolo really couldn't get things going, and he got hurt, and Lance really couldn't get things going, and Garoppolo. What's the situation there? Calf injury, he's supposed to be out 3 weeks. All of a sudden, he's not going to be out at all. It's not really a good look in terms of the coaching staff's thoughts on Trey Lance. So it's a little bit of mess right now. And the Niners it's tough because their resume doesn't look that good right now. I guess they lost to pretty decent teams, but who they beat, they haven't really had a statement game yet. So they played the Cardinals this week. That would be the statement win. But, I guess can they win these tough games, which we've seen them win when healthy in the past. So they're going to have to figure something out here. Seahawks up 4 spots to 15. They're back on track. It's a good win. I thought the defense played better for sure. That's kind of what we were looking for. What I liked is the offense picked it up in the second half. That's also what we were looking for. They controlled the clock. That's also what we were looking for, the Seahawks. Things they have not been able to do in games. So they kind of check some boxes there, not meaning they can do that in the long run. It's kind of a wait and see to see if they can continue to do that. But they did some things that I liked there. I know there was some injuries with the 49ers, but the Seahawks did some things that I liked. We were kind of waiting to see both sides of the ball. So that's good. It's a much-needed win. It's a big win, and I guess somewhat of a statement win there. I know the Niners are struggling, but they're going to be up 4 spots to number 15. Kind of got out of that funk that they were in. 14, the Bengals are 3-1. They're up 3 spots to 14. It wasn't pretty in the first half. They didn't like the play calling, didn't really like the execution. But you could see who the better team was, and that's why they turned it around, won the game. They got big playability. Joe Burrow's getting better. The offensive line's getting better. The offensive line still needs a test. Everyone talking about like, wow, look at this offensive line. And yes, they deserve the credit. They're playing better. And I'm not saying they're going to go back to being awful as bad as they were. I think they actually are better. But let's get more of a test out there to make that full statement. So just that didn't affect the power rankings. Just something I'm looking forward to. I always like to kind of get a thought out there on a team. But I love the way Joe Burrow's playing. Some glimpses of that LSU, maybe the best quarterback season in college football history. Some glimpses of that. Love that. Such a smart quarterback. Defense playing well. So yeah, they're 3-1. True test against Green Bay Packers this week. Can't wait for that. They're up 3 spots to 14. Next, 13, Broncos. Yeah, tough one for the Broncos. They were missing some guys, but a lot of teams are missing some guys. It's kind of how it is. I think they would have put up more of a fight with Teddy Bridgewater in there, though, but they were still getting beat. They were getting outplayed. There in that game. Was not thrilled with the play calling at all. They were going away from what was working in that game, and not much was working, and that kind of makes it worse when it's obvious that there's very little working, but things are working in there when you're struggling. You think you would kind of side towards that, so not thrilled with that either. But that is their first loss, and people will kind of hammer them a little bit because they were 3-0. It's a good resume, but they didn't play the best teams, and now they play a pretty good team there in the Ravens, and they kind of blow it a little bit. So I think still to be determined on the identity of the Denver Broncos, but that's their first loss, and they'll be down 3 spots there. Chiefs going to be up 4 spots. Defense, still worried about the defense giving up that many points to the Eagles, but the offense, still looks like one of the best, maybe the best in football, and that helped them get that win. Overall, this is another example. Some people do their power rankings where they kind of rank teams and how they think they will be at the end when it's all said and done. I don't really do them that way. The Chiefs, we are all confident, can be pretty damn good when it's all said and done, but they'll have to continue to play like that. The last few weeks they have not been playing like that, so they're in this range for now for a reason. But they are up 4 spots after a high-powered offensive win there, much needed win into number 12. 11, the Panthers down 2 spots. Overall, they've been impressive, what they've shown us this year. That's their first loss against a tough Cowboys team. Yeah, it was a little disappointing because it was they had some offense going. They had some defense going early. I guess they had both going early in this game. But the second half, they kind of didn't really look like on either side of the ball the Panthers that we've saw this year. So it's kind of like the Broncos. People kind of bring up the same thing. They finally play a good team, and they kind of showed us that. So it's still to be determined there for the Panthers. But overall this year, they've looked like a pretty good football team. On both sides of the ball at times here. So they're not going to move down too much for this. They're down 2 spots to number 11. They play the Eagles this week, struggling Eagles. So we'll see if the Panthers kind of can get back on track there. Number 10, Ravens going to be up 2 spots. They beat the Broncos there. They got a Monday night game against the Colts this week, so that could help them out with a win there. But, the Ravens since week 1, since blowing that lead week 1 of the Raiders, they've been rolling here. They've been rolling. Having that Chiefs win was big. So they're up 2 spots as we start to kind of get into the top 10 teams here. Number 9, the Raiders moved down 5 spots there off a loss. Yeah, really the top 8 teams are just teams. They're always going to be teams around this time of the year throughout the rest of the year. It's really going to be teams that are winning and trying to fight to move up 1 spot. So the Raiders coming off a loss to the Chargers on Monday night, which they almost pulled off another comeback. But, they're going to move down 5 spots because the teams in the top 8 are winning and looking damn good. But the Raiders are also looking good for the most part this year. They've had a really good year through, up until that game. Very easily can get back on track. It's just the first loss of the year, though. So they're at number 9. Still view them as a good team. 8, the Chargers up 5 spots. See the Raiders down 5, Chargers up 5 after another impressive win. They beat the Chiefs and they beat the Raiders Monday night. People doubt them in that game, actually. They look really good on both sides of the ball, and they're kind of just getting going. It feels like they're kind of revving up for something here. So it's a pretty damn dangerous team. If they would have beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, close one, if they would have beat them, they'd be ranked higher here, but it's still looking like a dangerous team, a likable team here for the season. They are up 5 spots to number 8. Cowboys up 1 spot to 7. So you start getting the top teams where you see you're just trying to squeeze up a little bit. Beating the Panthers, continuing to roll, looking damn good, really on both sides of the ball. I like how they can beat you with the downfield passing game, the underneath passing game, the run game, and they're missing some guys too, so that makes it even more impressive. They're up 1 spot. And any type of movement's big here once you get to the top teams that are rolling. 6 going to be the Browns, move up 1 spot. Love the defensive performance against the Vikings. They held them to 7 points. Browns might be the best defense of football right now. They really might be. Offense, A little disappointing. They got the win overall, so they're going to be up one spot there in a game that, people thought, and it could have went either way. The way it went, it could have went either way. So it's somewhat of a statement win there for the Browns. They're on a bit of a streak, so they're going to move up one spot. Love the way the defense is playing. Another one spot here. These teams kind of easing up. The Raiders drop down. These teams winning, easing up. Packers take care of business against the Steelers there, and they're looking good since that confusing loss to the Saints there in Week 1. So they're going to keep rolling. They do have some injuries though. Zadarius Smith going to be out longer than expected. They have been missing Bakhtiari, Alden Jenkins. Now still waiting for news on Jair Alexander. So that could hurt them, going forward, but we see still a very good team where they can beat you. Kind of talk about like the Cowboys. They can beat you downfield passing game, underneath passing game, running game. They can kind of beat you in any way there, and their defense is starting to pick it up a little bit here for the Packers. So they're up one spot to number 5. The Rams are going to be down 3 spots to 4. They were number 1, but moving down, that's a tough loss. I know it's against a good team, but that's a tough loss there. I mean, they got completely outplayed. It felt like they had no answers on both sides of the ball, so that's really not a good look there. The Cardinals could beat them in any way they want, like literally any way they wanted on offense. The Cardinals found a way to take away kind of their game, the Rams' game in the deep ball. But then I thought the Rams had opportunities to get the ball underneath. It was a lot of just like, where's Cooper Kupp? Let me stare down Cooper. Let me try to find him. And, that connection's been strong, but I was not thrilled with what I saw with the Rams. So what you show me on the field, will hurt you if it's not good. And, especially when we're talking about the top teams here, and they're still a top team. They were number 1 right before this, but that showing up there that I did not like that'll move you down. That'll move you down 3 spots, which is quite a bit here when we're talking about the top teams, which the Rams are. A hot, not hot, but a team that is heading in the right direction. The Seahawks will play the Rams on Thursday night. Cannot wait for that division battle. Back-to-back division battles. Yeah, Rams should win the home game against the Cardinals, the division battle there. So interesting. Bills looking dominant still. Tough to squeeze them up though. Really consider them moving up to 2. It was the Texans, but still an impressive win. They're looking good. I like how balanced they are. They look like maybe one of the best offensive football and defenses. I'm looking at the Bills and the Browns, the top defenses in the NFL right now. Bills could use more of a challenge in terms of their defense, and they're going to get it. They're going to play the Chiefs, who are making their way back up. We all know that, possibly. But they get to, Sunday Night Football, Bills at Chiefs. Man, that's going to be good. I can't wait for that one. So the Bills stay put at 3. They're looking pretty damn good. And it's looking like, again, that Week 1 was confusing and doesn't really show who the Bills are. Bucs are going to stay put. They win a tough battle against the Patriots. They're a pretty good defensive team. The Patriots actually match up well against the Bucs. You do expect the Bucs to handle business. They did. They didn't look like maybe the full Bucs there, but I'm still pleased with them. And this will bring up, I kind of talked about it with the Giants and the Falcons. This will bring up some fans. Well, the Rams just beat the Bucs last week. How are the Bucs ahead of the Rams? It's not based off one team, 2 teams. It's not based off one game. There's been 4 games this year. It's based off the entire resume. The Bucs overall throughout those games have looked like maybe the most dominant team in football, minus the Rams game. But as a whole, either they've looked better than the Rams. The way the Rams lost this last game did not sit with me as that well either. So that would be why you can't focus on, again, one game. Head-to-head, there's 32 teams in the NFL. You can't focus on, where the teams will be when it's all said and done, week by week, play it by week here. So that's how it rolls here. And number 1 is going to be a no-brainer at this point. Arizona Cardinals, the only undefeated team left. And, I don't know if it's really, being the only undefeated team helps. But I'd say it's more because what you're doing on the field. What I see on the field is, and again, being the only undefeated definitely matters. Because you win, you continue to go up, you go on a streak, that helps even more. So it's definitely big here. It's definitely big. But what they do on the field is extremely impressive because they could beat you. We already know it's no secret. It's a high-powered offense, explosive offense, maybe the best in football. If not, it's definitely up there. And they can beat you in so many different ways with that offense as well. So many different ways. They can make your game plan a nightmare. They can throw off your game plan. those things are no secrets. How about the defense, though? The defense, I can expect it to be a little up and down. You start to, week one, oh my God, Cardinals defense be better than expected. And then it starts to go down a little bit and okay, yeah. But then, an incredible game plan. They take away the Rams' deep ball. They really got them guessing. They really got them off their game on every aspect of the game. So you definitely respect that as well. I wouldn't expect the Cardinals defense to be that lights out every week, but they're showing what they're capable of. It still kind of feels like, not a new defense, but there's some new faces. There's some new changes in there, so they can continue to get better, really. But it's still early, but it's been the most dominant team in football. They're up 4 spots, number 1. I don't think that's really any question right now. I don't know. Everybody basically should have Cardinals number 1 in their power rankings, but this is how I do mine. Just keep on winning, and you're going to keep on going up. For those teams, if they're losing right now and you believe in your team, then hey, they'll go. If you're right, they'll win. They'll go up. That's kind of how it works here. And I'm excited to update these every single week. Some big time games this week. We talked about the Bills play the Chiefs. The Packers play the Bengals. That's actually a good one. Look at that, 5 versus 14. We got the Seahawks Rams. I mentioned that one. I actually like the Ravens Colts game on Monday night. They played a tough defensive game last year. There's a lot of good games here. Cardinals 49ers. A lot of great games. So and it'll affect the power rankings for sure. So can't wait to next week. Can't wait to our weekly picks tonight, Tuesday night, every Tuesday night. Score predictions every Wednesday. Power rankings for rookies are coming back later in the week, every single week. Excited about those. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you follow that Twitter. A lot going on there, almost at 10K. Really appreciate the support. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.